out. Right now, when you buy the GTX 980 Ti Hall of Fame Edition from GALAX, you also get a 240 gigabyte SSD for free, so you can upgrade your entire rig. Just go ahead and click on the screen, or just hit the link in the top of the description. All right, so let's take a look at this EVGA conspiracy that's happening right now. Did you guys see this t-shirt? Overclock it until it megahertz. I think Kyle summed it up the best when he says old news. EVGA already announced this on their new show, The Tech. I like that spelling right there.
Oops.
So anyway, yeah, this is turning into a huge conspiracy theory online, and yeah, they're I don't know, they're gonna have to give us 100% of the royalties, I think. Right? Is that how that works? Could you copyright really terrible puns? Maybe. I don't know. Maybe not. All right, let's get on down to business. CISA is out. The TPP is going crazy. So let's start off with the heavy stuff. First off, CISA, you guys can take a look at your different place and you figure out the votes are about to happen. So Congress is voting soon. You guys can go and check the political scoreboard for wherever. Let's check somewhere in the South. They usually are not the best. Let's check Kentucky. Ugh.
Oh,
Mitch
we have an
McConnell.
A+ and an F-.
Yeah, Mitch McConnell.
F-. That's not even really that's a special level of fail.
Mitch McConnell, if you guys do not know, he's the senator from Kentucky who hates the American people and loves money. Let's take a look at Georgia. Georgia's doing better than Kentucky. Whoa. This is rough. So go in there and find your state, and then you guys know who to contact over here. You can tweet them. You can get their information. So, yeah. Whoa, Idaho is really bad. Got a bunch of Fs and Ds in Idaho.
It's
All
a
right,
surveillance bill. I mean,
wow.
it's really about surveillance. And 83 of senators voted for it, which is really, really disturbing.
Man, I miss Vermont. Vermont's got everyone. The lowest score in Vermont is an A. And then you got A pluses otherwise. So I do miss Vermont. They knew what was up. Then again, it's a small state. Only got 3 people over here. So yeah,
the crazy Internet Surveillance Act right here.
Yeah, I also like on this website how they've categorized the different internet websites and that sort of thing that are standing up for your freedoms and are against CISA, and they want to save crypto and all that sort of thing. And then on the bottom, it's Team NSA. I like how this is broken down. This is a nice website. And Facebook is on there. T-Mobile. Ugh. T-Mobile. I thought you guys were relaxed and groovy and cool, man. Come on, John Leisure, you better get on this. Figure that out, man. Because you're not allowed to have that.
AT&T has made a whole bunch
hair.
of money selling the feds your phone records for years, so this just opens up, a new business model. So,
I mean, okay, T-Mobile is the smaller carrier, and they want to be cool, and they do a lot of cool things. Maybe they push the industry in a certain direction, but I guess being small, it's difficult to say no when Big Brother shows up and is like, "I'm going to punch you in your face if you don't give us those phone records." But T-Mobile, come on.
But if you do give us your phone records, I'm going to buy you a really nice steak dinner and give you a $500 gift certificate to Walmart. Wouldn't that be nice?
And they're like, Walmart, I guess. I mean, can we do like Target or something? And they're like, fine, Target. I'm like, okay, yeah, that's fine then. That's how it works. So,
it's really
yeah.
horrifying. There's a vote on Tuesday, so you need to call your Congress critter and tell them, no, what are you doing? Stop that.
Yeah, get on it like immediately, guys.
It's like you also gotta not play the crazy person card. You have to say, I've really looked at this. I really feel like this is a surveillance bill. Can you explain to me how this is not a surveillance bill? Because it really seems to be about surveillance. And perhaps that approach would cause them to change your mind. If you call them and act like a crazy person, it's not going to do any good. So don't do that. But call them and say, hey, I think this is a surveillance bill. Why are we doing this? Did we not learn our lesson from, the fact that we had Clapper lying to Congress? Have we not learned our lesson? I mean, come on.
Yeah. And it's I'm kind of having fun going through all these different you can go through all of them. Whoa. At least there's more on the team internet, but that's good. But all these guys down here who are unclear, getting like the C minuses and stuff, look at these guys, find your area. If they've got like a C or a D, let's be for real. You may not be able to persuade some of the guys who have like an F minus. They are They have, Comcast and the feds and the NSA like all over them. They're all going to dinner with them. They're all in the same bed. So some of the guys with a C minus, C plus may go one way or the other. Focus on them. Make sure you get them, a correspondence. And I'll be doing the same as well as soon as I'm done here. All right, so Apple, they had a ton of malware this year. And, a lot of people who run around and say, Apple can't get viruses. Well, malware is, technically, it's pretty much a virus. But it's in your system doing things you don't want it to do. So, yeah, Apple's get viruses. The main reason throughout history that they haven't received as many viruses is because their installation base was smaller. And if you're a dude at home making a virus, you're probably going to want to make the virus and you want to affect the biggest pool of people. You want to piss in the big pool, not the kiddie pool. That's I don't know where that came from. But so that's essentially what it is. You want to affect as many people as possible. So they would usually focus on Windows. And now that, Mac's getting a little bigger, well, people are starting to focus on that. But, in general, all the communities are getting bigger. So
Apple's got a lot of work to do here for update delivery. This is one, I'm not a Microsoft topologist, but Microsoft has a lot of experience delivering updates and making sure the machines are up to date and in sync in the enterprise. Apple's approach is more about making sure machines are in sync with the cloud and less of a, sort of auditable, less of a sort of a holistic approach. This is going to really bite Apple in the butt. Now on mobile, Apple's actually done a really good job. On desktop, they've done a really odd job. So Apple's going to have to do some things a little differently on desktop in order to resolve this situation. A lot of the time, the stopgap measure from Apple when there's a Java or Flash vulnerability is to immediately push out a patch to disable it. It's like, I got news for you. That's not going to cut it in the context of vulnerabilities within your own operating system. So I got to take that into account.
Yeah, I mean, I do want to actually say that good on you guys, Apple, because right now there's some court cases going on, and with the newest versions of the OS on mobile devices, the encryption. Apple's saying it cannot be hacked. I'm sure someone can hack it, but Apple doesn't have the password and there's no backdoor. So they're telling, the courts listen, we can't even get into this stuff, so nothing we can do. So stop telling us to do stuff. Some of the stuff that's in question for some of the different devices are older devices. The older devices or older versions of the operating system. Well, Apple can get around the encryption, and Apple can look at the stuff, but they're begging the courts, don't make us do that because that would damage our customer base. And that's cool of Apple to do that. But, the reason, if you look at the reasoning behind this, the reasons are all about money for them. It's not, they're not actually trying to protect anybody. They're not actually trying to do the right thing. Their lawyer's statement was that, hey, listen, this is going to devalue our brand. So, yeah. They're doing the right thing, but for the wrong reason. And that doesn't really make me feel all that good. But as long as they're doing the right thing, I mean, it's good, but you got to watch their intentions as well. We don't want to lose money. That boat could
turn immediately.
Oh, yeah. Because the boat is driven by what makes them the most money. And right now, having a ton of customers paying them a lot of money makes them the most money. But as soon as something else is, just as hypothetical, let's say the government came in and all right, we'll give you $50 billion. And Apple would turn that boat around and be like, here's the private information of everybody on our network. That's the way it would happen. Anyway, so Google is sort of following suit here. They're making full disk encryption and secure boot mandatory for all of the Android 6.0 devices, as long as they can handle it. That's the thing. Yeah, they've got to be able to handle it. But I don't know if they're doing this for the same reasons.
I'm not really sure why they're doing it, except for it's going to be. So imagine a situation where your Google two-factor authentication depends on your mobile phone. So if somebody's got your mobile phone, they could probably get your Google account. They could probably do whatever the hell they wanted. So that's a real danger. So it's probably important that your phone be encrypted. Probably more important than your computer. Probably more important than anything, really, if you think about it. So in terms of advancing technology, it kind of makes sense that Google would want your phone to be encrypted by default. Not because your government is spying on you, because it totally is. And not because government, Google wants to help you not be spied upon by your government, but more because it is in their best interest in terms of security and securing your stuff so they don't have the headache of dealing with you if your stuff is compromised, like the iCloud hacks and crap like that.
And we've just been talking about Google and also Apple, and this is an interesting article that you sent over, just showing how much revenue these different massive companies make per employee. This is not profit, by the way. This is revenue, but still, a lot of that's going to go into the profit. But look at Apple; they make, almost 1.9 million in revenue per employee.
Per employee, that's crazy. I thought this data was amazing.
And Google's doing a pretty damn good job too. And you look down here. I mean, even IBM is $244,000 in revenue per employee is pretty good, but I'm not sure what that would factor into as far as is this chart taking into account the salaries of the employees? I mean, because that's going to come out of the revenue and go, that's not going to be profit. So I don't know.
It's not. It's just raw income dollars. Right. So it doesn't take into account salary. It doesn't take into account anything. It's not gross profit of the company. It doesn't take out expenses at all. It's just that Google collected this much money. Now they may have, their profit margins don't have anything to do with it. Apple, of course, has a ridiculous profit margin because they've somehow convinced people to pay, twice retail for PC componentry. So their profit margin is insane.
Only twice, yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes a bit more. It's like, well, this one is it's white plastic instead of gray or beige plastic. It's worth easily 4 or 5 times as much. I mean, really. Yeah.
It's just state-of-the-art aluminum. And it's like, wait, isn't that one of the... shh. Oh, yeah, aluminum, yeah.
Oh, man. Let's quick mention on what's going on in Oslo, because, since moving to Seattle, I've heard nothing but complaining about the expansion of the public transit systems, like the bike lanes. That's one thing, but also, like, they're expanding the light rails and the buses and making bus-only lanes. And I hear a lot of complaining about that. In fact, I've even turned on the radio a little while ago, and they were interviewing one of the people who was in charge of infrastructure. And it wasn't really an interview. It was more of an interrogation. And like, why are you stomping on our rights to drive cars and stuff like that? I think that... So I want everyone who's complaining, and I know a lot of people did complain in New York when I lived there. A lot of people complained about the public transit getting in the way of them driving there. So in America, everyone drives everywhere. They've got a car. If someone calls from across the street, someone's going to get in their car and drive across the street because God forbid they walk 5 feet. That's just the way things are here, and things are set up really more for cars. But in Oslo, Norway, in 4 years, they're going to be banning cars from the city center. That's going to make a lot of people really angry. Even people in Europe are going to be like, what the hell? They said that they're still going to make sure that the handicapped are taken care of and that sort of thing. And there'll be buses and public transit coming and going. But the city center is going to be car-free. I wonder what that's going to look like as far as the city goes. I guess we could just look back in time at some of the cities like Bruges or something. I don't know.
That might be a return to the way that, think about some of the really old cities in Europe. They were not designed for vehicles. They were designed for foot traffic and maybe some horses. So the streets are pretty narrow. Yeah. It's pretty cozy. And this may be a return to that. If the mass transit system is really good, I don't really see too much of a problem here, but the mass transit system is going to have to be really solid.
Yeah, hell, Boston is not designed for cars at all. It's filled with tiny, windy roads, and yet these idiots still drive on it like maniacs. So, and when I call you names, doesn't that mean we're friends now, you dumbass? Isn't that how it works in Boston? I was always terrible at that when I got there. Everyone's like calling me names. I'm like, they don't like me, and they're like, no, they like you just fine, dude. Don't you know they just called you some terrible thing? And I was like, oh, so it's kind of like Ireland then? Is that how they do it? I don't know. I kept trying, and it always came out wrong because I was like, thanks, you ass. And they were like, oh, it just didn't work for me, so I tried. Anyway, we do a stand-up routine on that someday. So, T-shirts. Guys, we actually put a Tech Syndicate T-shirt in there. I was like sitting around, I was like, we don't have a Tech Syndicate T-shirt, like, at all. So, the standard T-shirt.
Oops.
Yeah, I've decided I want to make like almost no profit on this. So we got the standard Tech Syndicate T-shirt here. Just, $16.99. That's it. And, yeah. So if you want to meet others who watch Tech Syndicate, I don't know. I don't have a sales pitch for that. It's a freaking Tech Syndicate shirt. I do have a sales pitch for this one, though. Yes, we can. This one's actually doing pretty well. Not as well as last month's, but we have maybe a week and a half or so left on this. So, guys, get on the Yes We Can shirts. These things are... It's just like it's probably one of my favorite prints that we've made. It looks really good. And it's also soft and breathable. It's not like one of those full-size prints that's sticky. If you guys haven't purchase one of our shirts, that we do them with a special ink that's breathable. It actually dyes the fabric and all that. So, yeah.
Nah, we can't. Yeah, we can.
Oh, and one other thing. I was talking to John, so we've got a bunch of beanies in here. The highest quality beanie is probably the turtle fur beanie up here on the top. It's also the most expensive at around $30. But I mean, the price to me is pretty expensive too. Like our price is not cheap on these things. You know, we don't make a ridiculous margin. I want to make sure we have good stuff. Anyway, those are the highest quality ones. And those are selling at a rate of about 3 to 4 times as much as all the other beanies combined. So that just shows you that our audience likes quality. And that makes me really happy. You guys like quality. So, and you buy something like that, it should last longer, you know? That's the idea.
You like smart buys.
Yeah. I also want to mention that my favorite one out of all these beanies is the this one down here, the E-Conscious one or whatever. It's not as warm as the other beanies because it's cotton instead, but it's super comfortable. It's thick and it's really comfortable. So if you live somewhere like, even in Seattle, it's too hot here for me, even in the wintertime, to wear a beanie. But possibly most people who live in Seattle, Portland areas, some places in Europe where it doesn't get too cold, you may be able to grab one of those. So anyway, that's the sales pitch for all the new stuff on the website. I'm gonna make the same shirt that EVGA made because we were planning on making one of those for Christmas or for the holidays or whatever you guys. I don't celebrate Christmas, so whatever you guys celebrate, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa. God, you got to say everything, or else someone online is gonna be like, you're not inclusive and you're borderline racist because you didn't mention whatever I celebrate. I don't know, Yule, Festivus. I don't care. I've missed a bunch of them, I think. Krampus. We're going to a Krampus shirt. That's what we're going to do. We're going to make a Krampus shirt. Anyway. So, yeah, let us know what shirts you guys want to see in there by the end of the year. And we'll see what we can do as far as the holidays go. All of the freaking holidays, except for your favorite one. We don't do that one. No. We don't believe in it. YouTube Red. How about it? Let's get into this. Right now, if you guys look at Twitter or any of the other content, I can sum up what's happening. The sky's falling. YouTube is dead. All the content creators are going to starve to death. The people in the comments are screwed. And the name is awful. I mean, okay, the name is awful. Like, really. RedTube? Come on. I'm just going to call it RedTube now, or maybe we can call it Tube Red. This is Tube Red over here. So, yeah.
Tube Red.
I don't think it's as bad as people say it is. It's just, I don't know. If you stand back and look at the overall trend of what YouTube is doing with their business, you can see where they're going. Number one, they want more control. Number two, they want to help improve some of the content. Like, they're throwing most of their money at, like, super elite 1% tier of people who are making content. They're helping them. They're enabling them. They're giving them everything they need so that they can make almost TV quality content, because that's what YouTube really wants. They want this really uber high quality content that will drive people to the site. And I don't know. YouTube for me, I mean, we're sort of an anomaly in a lot of the other technology channels. I don't. When I go to YouTube, I never actually think to watch stuff like this. I'm like, oh, let's watch a cat pop balloons and then freak out, you know, or let's watch a horse kick a guy in the jaw. That's usually what I've been trained that is what YouTube is. So now they're going to have to, I mean, in order to be able to justify people paying $10 a month for, you know, no ads, then they're competing with Netflix and Hulu, who have very good, not good, I mean, just they have quality, no, not quality either, stuff that looks nice. And it's curated, and it's well-produced. Kind of. I don't know. It's hard to say all those things. But you know what I mean? It's like real professional content on all those other services. And on YouTube, you don't have that. So
the
I don't know. Is anyone going to pay for this?
They split the revenue by minutes watched, I think. So
that's great for us.
If you watch 1,000 minutes on YouTube and 50% of them are us, we will get 50% of the 50% that we get from the $10 a month.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a good thing for us, but not very much, not a very good thing for people who make small, silly videos that are a minute long or 30 seconds long and get gazillions of hits. We'll do better with, 70,000 hits compared to someone who has 1 million hits on a 1-minute video. So
one wonders if that's because of the old back catalog of like TV shows. Imagine a world, if you will, where all the old television like Green Acres and Mr. Ed and My Three Sons and I don't know, really ancient television is just thrown up on YouTube because it's not accessible anywhere else. It's like, 30-minute, hour-long shows, the Dick Van Dyke Show, stuff like that. It'll be popular. People will still watch it. And that money will then go to most of those companies.
So they're
because everything else on YouTube is about 10-minute videos.
That's what they're going to do. They're going to entice. They're going to get a bunch of people signed up, and then they're going to show the companies, look how many people are signed up, and then they're going to get all those companies to upload their catalogs. Genius. I mean, I don't think it's a good idea, but it's genius for them. The other thing that's kind of interesting is they are threatening to they're threatening to unlist all the videos from channels who do not sign on for this. So if we don't sign the terms and say, hey, it's cool, then all of our videos are just going to vanish until we sign the terms and sign the contract and say it's okay and whatever. So that's the thing about
this seem to only be on monetized videos.
Interesting. I mean, the thing about YouTube, and everyone keeps freaking out. And listen, everyone is building a house on YouTube's property, and then they get mad when YouTube, rearranges the hedges or something, or paints the wall. You're building on their property. Now, I know that we can yell and scream about YouTube doing the wrong thing, but it's their property, not ours. So we just have to. I mean, public outcry is good. You guys can get things done, but you have to realize that YouTube's going to do what YouTube wants to do. They're kind of like North Korea. They will do what interests them.
And honestly, YouTube, like after this is in place, I fully expect YouTube to get a lot more aggressive blocking the ad blocker stuff, because this is a direct result of ad blocker. And so if you are going to use ad blocker, you should subscribe to YouTube.
Now, the other thing that they're doing, and this has kind of been a trend, is they are trying to take more control over the sponsorship packages that a lot of the content creators are putting together, and different monetization methods that they are using for their videos that are not part of the whole YouTube, the monetization process. Normally with a YouTube video, you get an ad in the beginning, but you guys see ads in the beginning of this video. There's different ads. They're going to try to take a cut of that, and they've been trying to do that for a long time. They've made certain things, certain things are now no longer allowed. Like using vendor logos and stuff in the beginning of videos are not supposed to be allowed anymore. So they're going to become, I think, a bit more militant about that as well, and they're going to make sure that, hey, when so and so buys an ad from you, they have to come through us so we can take a 40% cut, and then we'll place the ad in there. You won't place it yourself. So no more baked-in ads. That's their long-term goal. I think they're going to try to, because I mean they see a lot of money coming through here. So there's lots of interesting things they're doing.
Joke's on them.
So I don't know. We'll have to start building our thing. That's what we need to do. Got to build our own house, but first off, we have to buy the land. Anyway, let's talk about talk. Talk about talk. Sorry, couldn't help it.
Weird company name.
Yeah, this is which I'll let you make a quick mention, but yeah, they didn't have any encryption. The TalkTalk is sort of an ISP. I guess they're not sort of. They're basically an ISP.
4 million subscribers.
UK, yeah.
Credit card data, personal details. The hackers have it, and it's on the internet.
I'm laughing. Yes, I'm laughing. I'm sorry if you guys fell victim to this over in the UK. That's messed up. I cannot believe they didn't use encryption. Lawsuit, class action lawsuit, pit torches and pitchforks. What are you going to do? Turn loose wild dogs in the street, mayhem in the UK.
If you were an identity theft or a counterintelligence agent, this would be like a field day. It would be amazing.
Yeah. So, yeah, that was our quick mention. Let's talk about this interesting article here about the future of drones. So, where was this? It was in England as well. We're hanging out in England for a little while. So, some engineers in England have, they won a £4.2 million grant, and it's about $6.5 million according to the article here, and maybe different by the time you guys are watching this. But anyway, what they're going to do is they're creating an army of drones. Army is probably not the right word, a fleet of drones. And these drones are going to start doing repairs to cities. So you'll essentially end up with a self-repairing city. They'll be filling in potholes, replacing lamps, like street lamps that go out, utility pipes, all kinds of different things. So I mean,
it's going to take a lot more research than this to do that, but
right. I mean, you're going to have to develop new drones, new materials, but I think that's going to be the way of the future. In 20 years from now, I totally foresee. I mean, because you have the huge problems with potholes and that sort of thing in cities, because the city is responsible for that. A lot of people always sue the city. There's all these there's rackets of people that go around and take pictures of them, just general stuff like that. And then on the other side of this, you always will have the guys who are like, "Hey, more drones that are going to take our jobs, man." But okay, let me philosophize for just a minute here, okay, everybody? Right now, every time we go into a factory tour in China, like some of the top comments are like, "Oh my God, what a terrible job, the quality of life." Everyone freaks out about these factories. But the factories that we've looked at so far are no different. Sometimes they're even better than the factories that are still here in the country. And if you remember back, I don't know, about 100 years, tons of factories here. Industrial revolution going on, tons of factories here, factories in Europe, lots and lots of manual labor. There's factories everywhere, but you look at it and your brain, because we don't do those jobs anymore. That's not the standard job. I mean, there's a way smaller sector. A lot of it's overseas now, but you look at those jobs and you're like, damn, it must suck to do that. I can't believe human beings actually have to put these things together. I mean, all the stuff on this desk was put together by a human, but we don't see it because it's somewhere else. It's like over in China. We don't look at it. We ignore it and we use it. But every time we see it, we freak out. 20, 30 years in the future, if we actually see a human being filling a pothole, are we going to do the same thing? Are we going to be like, man, I can't believe a human being has to fill that pothole or climb up on a ladder and change that light? I can't believe a human's doing that. Look, that's awful. That's awful. I'm appalled. Oh my goodness. Is that what it's going to be? Maybe.
We can summarize this really quick. So you ever watch Star Wars and see the droids running around doing things? It's that. You ever watch Farscape and see the droids running around fixing the ship? It's like that.
And we are going to be freed up to do other things. I don't think this is, I mean, it may remove a few jobs, but really it's going to allow us to shift our focus, use our brains more, create. I don't know, that might be difficult because we're becoming more stupid. Ugh. we kind of broke survival of the fittest because now we have all these drones doing everything for us, so they're keeping us alive. We're in a bind. Speaking of that, let's talk about the TPP, because while we're becoming more and more stupid, the people in charge know this, and they're taking advantage of it because they know the masses don't know anything about the TPP. Wendell, have you like gone online recently and seen some of these people? It's totally anecdotal, but there are guys who they run around town with a microphone being like, "What do you think about the TPP?" And they're like, "Toilet paper? What are you talking about?" They don't have any idea and they don't care. They're like, then they tell them what it is. They're like, "This is what it is," and then the people are like, "I don't care." Like, have you seen any of those videos?
Yeah, it's really just the Trans-Pacific Partnership is really. Basically, a bunch of countries have agreed to work together to expedite a lot of things that happen, mainly around copyright law, patent law, drug law, that kind of thing. So the company that, raised the price 5,000% on that pill for that thing, for example, it's like their patents are now enforceable everywhere, and they're charging 5,000% more for another pill just because they can, just because they've got the patent on it or something. But there's some other company that came out with another pill that's like $1 a pill. So I guess that's not really it's a different treatment or something, and it doesn't have some of the same side effects as the 5,000% pill. So that'll probably be changed. But yeah, they got all the outrage. Like, oh, we'll change the price back. They never changed the price back. The TPP
that guy's an asshat.
Yeah, totally. There's the TPP basically makes it a lot easier for countries to work together, quote unquote, to deal with copyright issues and patents and that kind of thing. But it's actually really bad. There's a lot of stuff in there. Like, if you really want to get into it, you should go read the EFF article. There's also been an official analysis posted just like a couple hours ago that said, yeah, this is pretty much as bad as can be imagined. And what this is a document where lawmakers in the Pacific Rim countries and then some have gotten together and said, yes, we will push for this in our respective countries as it is. And so it's not anything that's in law, but these these politicians got together, came up with this really awful thing with some companies, but some companies are against it. And they're going to try to now push it into law in all of their respective countries by saying, well, all the other countries are doing this, so we should totally do this. But that doesn't make it right. This is one of the most really egregiously bad pieces of legislation that I've seen in a long time.
All right, I'm going to leave the article. I mean, it'll be in the description. If you guys care, you can go read it. And I mean, you don't have to care. You can live under a rock if you want. It's whatever. You know.
I mean, this is some serious weapons grade stupidity here.
Yeah. Speaking of weapons grade stupidity, let's talk about the Tesla autopilot. I think, okay, let me say one thing in defense of all these people before I start making fun of them. Tesla, they did call the feature autopilot. They didn't call it like, you know, semi-autonomous driving mode. They didn't call it assist mode. They called it autopilot. So, yeah, people are going to think they can just let the car drive itself.
If you've been living under a rock, Tesla is an automobile company. They make these really nice high-end electric cars. And autopilot is a feature that they rolled out with a software update because their entire fleet of electric vehicles are all connected electronically because, hey, it's the future. And that's just how it works with these Teslas. And they push out a software update. And I don't know if they charge for it or not. I think that it's not available on all models, but it is a software thing. And they pushed it out. If you've got the autopilot thing, then it gives you some driving assist stuff. So if you've seen the thing like on a highway where your car will automatically brake if you get too close to the car in front of you, it's like that, but it's on steroids. I'm sorry, go on.
That's pretty much it. I mean, I think it's really funny because all these people are uploading these videos of themselves almost dying because they're not using it correctly. I mean, you're supposed to keep your hands on the wheel. It says you need to keep your hands on the wheel. And it's not a self-driving car. That's it. But people are like, they're getting in the car and they're like, oh, cool, autopilot, it's a self-driving car, and they videotape and then they almost die. And it's like, no, guys.
It does. The difference here in the automatic braking is that it does try to follow the lines on the lane and the car in front of you and a couple other things. But you know, if the car in front of you changes lanes and things like that, bad things happen.
Yeah. I mean, that kind of stuff, when we were in Germany, the car we had was equipped with all that. It wasn't equipped with it wouldn't turn the car for you, but it would maintain pace with the cars in front of you. And if I changed lanes and there was someone going significantly slower in that lane, the car would force me to slow down. It would slow down like severely. So I kind of became, I wouldn't want to say reliant upon it, but I kind of became very used to it. And it's like you get back into a regular car and you're like, I could just change lanes and the car will slow down for me. Oh, I've rear-ended someone. So you have to be careful about that kind of thing. But yeah, it's a system that needs human control. But, you know, I don't know. People are being dumb, as usual. All right, what's next on the list here? So remember that Stingray thing. What Stingray was they're like fake cell towers. And they just basically are there so that law enforcement can steal your data. Fun, huh? That's really fun.
So they promise not to use those? Yeah, well, this is bullshit.
Not necessarily, yeah. This is totally misleading. So the Department of Homeland Security said that, listen, from now on, we're going to have to get a warrant if we need to use it for Homeland Security or federal stuff. However, local law enforcement can keep on doing this. And then they said, just to be sure, the local law enforcement is not supposed to do it if they're working for us. But let me tell you what's going to happen now. They've put this in there to make it look like, you know, everything's good, and they make it look like they're going to have to get a warrant. What's really going to happen is they're going to tell the local law enforcement people to suck up all the data they can, so if they need it, it can just happen to be there. And they'd be like, oh, well, it's already there, and it was there before we didn't tell you to get it, but it's already there, so we're going to use it. And they're also going to be like, so Carl, listen, if you guys could maybe just start up an investigation on your own terms that has nothing to do with us. Everyone has a southern accent at Homeland Security. Nothing to do with us. We would really be behind you guys if you did that. It'd be great if you guys could go ahead and try to collect some data on these few people, but do it on your own terms. Maybe we'll need it sometime. We don't need it right now. And then they're going to go do it. And then later on, that's what's going to happen. The Department of Homeland Security is going to show up and be like, all that data you guys collected on your private local investigation, that would help us. We would like that. And then they'll give it to them. That's exactly what's going to happen. So it's complete bullshit, as usual.
What's really crazy is there's no advocate for the public that's, looking into these things or giving any kind of oversight for these things. It's really bad because if the citizenry were educated and knew about this, they would revolt. They absolutely would revolt. Even the level of apathy that we have, if they really understood the gravity of what was happening, I am convinced that they would, the public would not put up with it at all.
Apathy and stupidity are like an amazing combination. We have a lot of that here. But I don't care. Let's take a look at Tim Berners-Lee. So he was asking the interview. We'll just do a quick snippet, but he is telling people to just say no to Facebook's plan to quote unquote bastardize the internet. Facebook's plan, they're trying to bring their Facebook version of the corporate internet to poor areas without internet. And the idea that they're saying is like, listen, some internet's better than no internet. And we've talked about all this before, but it's basically going to be a very curated version of the internet that has Facebook and a number of other strategic partners with Facebook, and you're not going to get the rest of the internet. So it'll be a curated experience, almost like the old school AOL was. Like imagine just AOL without the ability to open up your web browser and also get on the internet. Just your little AOL experience. That's what it's going to be. Just your little Facebook experience with a few other things that have been thrown in there and maybe some government propaganda, because let's remember, Facebook is completely fine with being evil. They are just like, sure, we're evil. That's it. Us? Yeah, cool. We're evil. Yeah, it's great. Whatever. Just give us more money. We're evil. It's great. That's pretty much how they are. So Tim Berners-Lee, the other thing on this is a lot of people, they accuse the naysayers of being anti-poor people. And, Tim Berners-Lee is like, no. These people, it's nothing about that. We need to stop, demonizing the people who are against this by saying they're anti-poor people, because that's not it at all. It's the whole principle that the internet should be a certain thing, and any form of it that's not that is bad. So
I often wonder,
probably a bit more of a nuance to that, but
there's these companies. It's like, oh, this is an emerging market. This is a new and emerging market. Okay, cool, but are we doing this just so you can say to investors that you've got 17 million more people on the platform? Because I don't see how you turn those people into profitable customers.
Right. Well,
at the end of the day, if somebody only gets $5 a year in income, even if you collect all of that income, what have you really accomplished?
Facebook's not the only person in this game either. You also have Google, and you have Richard Branson, and even Elon Musk talking about, hey, we need to figure out ways to blanket the earth in good, connectivity, data for all. And so it's not like, Facebook's out there doing their good deed. Now, they're doing this for a reason, and it's purely money, of course, but you do have other companies that are, still doing things for money. But I would say Branson and Elon Musk are probably less motivated by money than most out there. Money is a byproduct of what they're doing. So I'd be very curious to see if they get together and work on something. Who knows? Anyway, what's next on the old list here? Oh, this is fun, guys. In Europe, you guys had better contact your parliament people or whoever you have in charge. Just the EU is about to do some really stupid things that would be bad for net neutrality. There is a proposal on the table here, and it's going to allow ISPs to create fast lanes. And I remember when I was over there in Germany, I was looking into some of the stuff going on, and I know Angela Merkel is totally okay with fast lanes. I don't think she fully understands what she's talking about here. So maybe some of you guys in Germany could write some letters, help them get a full picture of what's happening. I hope they're not that as corporate as they are here in the States. Anyway, they're going to allow class-based discrimination, where they can just basically speed up and slow down traffic based upon, hey, we prefer this service over this service, so it's faster, and this one's slower. And then what else is it? Allows a zero rating, which is another problem. Like, hey, this is zero rating. There you go, which basically makes the competition irrelevant, because this is the one you're going to use. It's the zero. It's the fast one. And then it's also going to allow them to prevent impending congestion. So it's like they're going to say like, oh, we predict that there's going to be some congestion later, so we're going to slow down certain things now. It basically gives them the ability to almost do anything they want. They could go in and be like, listen, we're going to slow down Netflix all the time to prevent impending congestion. Unless Netflix gives us a ton of money, in which case we'll be glad to move them over to the fast lane. So they're going to be double dipping, just like, well, I don't know, the FCC did a pretty nice thing here in the USA when they stopped all that nonsense. But you guys need to talk to your parliament. You guys need to educate them, because a lot of times they're stupid more than malicious. So educate them. And then the ones who are, going to country clubs and going on ski trips, to the Alps with some of these companies and that sort of thing, you need to remind them who the hell they work for by voting them out of office. So, yeah.
I tried to look at this as neutrally as possible, but problem number 4, I mean, clearly this was written by people that understand nothing about network architecture and the TCP/IP protocol, or the IP protocol. Not even necessarily TCP/IP, just the IP protocol in general, because there's not really like, you either have congestion or you don't. And when you do have congestion, there are mechanisms in the internet protocol to deal with that, because there has always been congestion in the entire history of the internet at times. And it turns out the algorithm is very good at dealing with that. So this is the dumbest thing that I have ever seen. Clearly, politicians that know nothing about network architecture are like, yeah, this seems reasonable. This is right. No, this is dumb. This is citizens of the EU. You really need to look into this, because this is dumb and you should not let this stand.
All right, get on it, guys. Let's move over to Asia. We haven't been in Asia much. Obviously, we've been in China. Let's go on over to Taiwan and take a look at what's going on over there. So this is a pretty cool interview with Jonney Shih. He's the chairman of Asus. Used to be the CEO of Asus. But him and a handful of people started Asus back in the 80s. I think it was 89, as a matter of fact. And yeah, Asus is what it is now because of his and others' leadership. But I just want to pick apart a few of the things he said here, because Asus is a big company that's big enough that they can help move the market in a few ways. They may be working on some sort of VR technology. It sounds more like he's describing AR. If you watch the videos down here, like some sort of AR technology. They also are putting a lot of emphasis on smartphone development, because they want to stay relevant. And he believes that if Asus is not creating smartphones, that they will not be relevant. He did, if you watch the video, he did say, hey, it's really important that we, maintain our focus on components as well, but we're also going to focus on smartphones. They're not going to, forget about the graphics cards and the motherboards and that sort of thing. But, there's that. The one thing down here at the bottom that I do want to kind of chew on for a minute, though, is he says that he doesn't want robots to be as smart as humans. He wants robots to serve humans. So he doesn't. His intentions are to create, or I guess he wants companies out there to create AI that works for us, and an AI that's not, smarter than us. So, do you guys agree with him? Do you guys think that we should make sure that robots are never as smart as us? Do you think that it's inevitable? Do you think that they're going to self-create? I don't know. Like, is that important? Is it important for us to maintain ownership and also make sure that they are serving us, working for us, and not basically their own brand new entity, species, whatever you want to call it. Like when the singularity occurs, there's going to be, we're going to be the first, first species ever to create the next species that's smarter than us. How do we get there? I don't know.
It's probably not really going to happen until we've got nano machines, because we do need nanoscale, like cell-sized stuff in order to do that and do it well. And so the first AI will probably be like a disembodied head. It would be like, would have a brain without a body, but it will probably be intelligent enough to design and build its own body. And so that'll probably, I think it's interesting on the robotics side, but I think it's also interesting that the VR aspect, I would expect Google to be involved in that, and it's not really clear that they are. Asus has done really good work with the Nexus, like the Google partnership and the Nexus devices and that sort of thing. But the Pixel C, I don't think was produced by Asus. At least it doesn't seem to be branded.
Some of
Asus.
the
And that's
Asus has been
interesting.
working with Huawei and a few other companies from China as well. But there were some clues in here as they may be working on one of the next Nexus devices. There were some clues. If you guys watch the whole video down here in the bottom, it'll give you an idea. But yeah,
I like the idea of I don't know if this is how this really happened, but Asus was really on board when Windows tablet stuff came out, and they're like, we're going to make a hybrid, and it's going to be great with Windows RT. And then they were like, this really did not work out. Let's just not do that. But Asus has some of its own stuff that is kind of like the Surface. I mean, Asus has got some stuff that is kind of like the Surface Book, which is the new thing that's coming out from Microsoft. Not as crazy off the deep end as Microsoft went, but in terms of having a laptop tablet convertible where you've got the screen, or you've got the screen, and then you got batteries and some peripherals in the keyboard part of it. But the Surface Book's on a whole different level, of course. But I think it's interesting that that was not actually an Asus product, because I would expect that Google would tap Asus for that first. And so it isn't. I mean, yeah, the Nexus devices, yeah, there's other stuff coming out, and the Chromecast 2.0, not the Chromecast, but there's another Nexus device that's coming out that's like a home media hub thing. But I don't know. That's a story for another time.
yeah. Well, you got into the whole Microsoft book thing, and I want to make sure that people then answer the question of what do you want the purpose of AI to be. Like, just go ahead and let us know in the comments in the forum. But let's go on over and check out the Microsoft Surface Book reviews are coming in. It seems like the battery life is ridiculous, like 15 to 17 hours, depending on what you're doing. And that's like, 12, 13 hours watching videos, stuff like that, 4K videos. The biggest gripe I'm seeing is that the hinge there leaves a gap. Let's see if I can find a picture of it here on the Verge right there. Yeah, people hate that gap. It is a bit awkward, but I mean, you have two really thin devices and they have to, I don't know. It's weird.
I don't mind it. Doesn't bother me at all. I haven't got one. I'm probably not going to get one this generation. I might. I don't know. I might change my mind. We'll see what happens.
Can you put Linux on it?
Yeah. Yeah, that would be a lot of fun. The key travel. So by not making it close all the way, you get an extra little bit of key travel on the keyboard on that. And so the keyboard experience, I think, is going to be different and unique. The extra gap doesn't really bother me. The other thing is that without adding extra weight to the device, because of the way that the hinge works, it actually makes the keyboard part longer. And by doing that, it makes the whole thing more stable. Because otherwise, the base would have to weigh as much as the screen in order to avoid the balance, like when you have it open and then you touch it, it's like the whole thing would flip backwards potentially. But with the hinge the way that it is, it's a 0.8 to 1. So the screen can be 20% heavier than the base, because the base gets physically longer because the hinge kind of unrolls. So that's an interesting engineering fix for the problem that they had there.
Getting some okay reviews. And another thing, there's another Microsoft article. I think I forgot to open it, but yeah, someone did a Microsoft. It was not the book, but it was the basically
Pro
the Surface. Yeah, Surface Pro 4 versus the MacBook, and how the Surface Pro 4 absolutely destroyed it when it came to graphics, because they managed to put
that
a
was the
graphics card
Surface
in there.
Book too. The deal with that, it was really funny because The Verge was like, oh, everything was twice as fast on the MacBook Pro as it was on the Surface. I don't understand what was going on. I think they fixed this, but it was funny because they were testing the 15-inch MacBook Pro, which has discrete graphics and has a quad-core processor. The Surface Book is like a 15-watt processor versus the 28-watt processor in that. But the 13-inch MacBook Pro does not have discrete graphics and has a dual-core processor like the Surface Book. And so there was another set of benchmarks where somebody did some stuff. And for CPU-bound benchmarks, the Surface was about the same speed as the 13-inch MacBook Pro, which is really, it's like, about the same speed. 15 watts versus 28 watts. That's damned impressive. That's down to Skylake, though. That'll be improved when Apple updates their line. But for things that involve the GPU, having the discrete GPU did sort of blow the doors off of everything. So that was interesting. That was neat. Yeah. The GPU in the Surface Book is a modified GT, or a modified 940M. So it's a 940M with 1 gig of GDDR5, most of the power consumption actually is that GDDR5 chip and not so much the 940M, which I thought was really, really interesting. And that's also why they only went with 1 gig instead of 2.
Interesting. And we didn't even, like I said, we didn't even have that article open, but I remember something like that happening this week. So for your Wendell,
blah, 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 Surface Book, blah, blah, blah. No one cares.
Yeah. Someone does somewhere. This is what I care about. This Samsung 950 Pro, I really want the 512 gigabyte model. Oh, NVMe. Look at the speed. Oh, God.
It's up for pre-order on Newegg.
Yeah, I'm ready for the 512 gigabyte model, sequential read speed of 2,500 megabytes. I almost said megabits. Megabytes per second. And the write's pretty damn fast, too, at 1,500. But for, God, something so tiny. Look at that. I wonder if it's going to need a heat sink.
Heat this thing's going to generate, yeah. Where I was like, oh, it's 90 degrees C all the time. It's like,
Wow. 300K IOPS on the read and 110K IOPS on the write. I want to play with one, but you could probably grab some of those little heat sinks and stick them to the top, just like most people did with the last generation.
Yep.
May as well. All right, we'll do a couple of quick Patreon updates, I think. No, we'll do some Western Digital stuff next. Western Digital has acquired SanDisk for $19 billion. That's a bit of a premium, 15% more than the stock price was actually. But, now they're going to have lots of cool stuff. SanDisk had some really amazing SSD products, but they also did tons of memory cards and stuff too. So, yeah, sort of filling in
Digital,
a
company in the spinning rust business has acquired SanDisk, a company in the sand to storage business. So, what does that tell you about the future of sand-based storage?
I figured that. Really, I figured SanDisk would be acquiring Western Digital. I know that's ridiculous because Western Digital's been around longer and has tons of stuff going on. But, the technology, Western Digital really needed this technology. They really needed this. So, yeah. Flash-based is the future, man. Well, maybe something else is the future, but flash-based is the immediate future. So,
yeah, the die shrink and the silicon processes there mean that no amount of laser-assisted, super hammer, shingle-fied, whatever is going to matter for magnetic media. It really isn't. Look, we've gone from 500 gigabytes to 6 terabytes, and in transfer speed, we've gone from 100 megabytes per second to 180 megabytes per second. This probably should tell you something. That's not good. It's a bad situation.
All right, you guys have watched this long. Let's do a little bit of an update on what's going on with Patreon and everything else. And first off, guys, thanks a lot. You're going to help make things better. We've already been, spending some of this money making the website better. We've rolled out, tens of thousands of lines worth of code to the website to update everything.
God.
So if you guys,
yeah.
So and that's we're paying Wendell's interns there. So if you guys go to the website and take a look at it, hey. Lots of things have changed. Lots of things have improved. We're what do you say, about 45-50% finished with the whole RSS system through Drupal to do the podcasts. I didn't expect it to be so fast. So I'm going to upload the MP3 of this. It'll be for free to download right on the website. So that's what we're going to do until we get the full system with all the RSS. And we've ripped everything from online, so that's good. Anyway, and see what else is WASD. We're shooting WASD tomorrow. WASD will be shot tomorrow, and it'll probably be out on Monday. So yeah, and we've got plenty of original content coming. We're working on this, guys. It's going to be a little bit slow because we're gonna have to we have to grow. So now we're being enabled, and I'm going to go ahead and make this announcement. Kane's on his way here. He's quit his job. like a crazy person. He quit his job and he's heading out here. So I think that's pretty big. When you think about it, Kane, he had a decent job, working in New York City, big time system administrator stuff. So he's gonna take a huge pay cut here. And I already told him, dude, I can't do much. Well, I can do what it's not what you're. He's like, I don't care. He's like, let's get this going, man. He's like, our community deserves it. Yeah, that, and then he loves his community, as much as anybody. he's in there with you guys, probably more than I am. I'm always working on a million things, and I'm in there whenever I can be. But he really cares about the community and what we're building here. So I think it's really cool that he's going to come out here, start doing this stuff. I'm getting all emotional. I don't even know. So thanks again, guys. Keep on giving them the goals here. This amount of money after the IRS takes their cut, we'll be able to hire 1.5 people with that. So it'd be cool if we could have like 2 or 3 people, so that all the extra commitments that we have here do not make it so that we die of working 90 hours a week. So we still need to hire a couple of people. We've got that coming up. And also we announced our LAN party. Everybody, April, I think it's 15th through the 17th, Seattle. Airplane hangar. Go ahead and get ready. We're going to have a freaking awesome LAN party. It's going to be huge. Like big deal type stuff. And I'm going to do a beer as well. Because it wouldn't be a Tech Syndicate LAN party without a drinking section, would it? So, we'll have beer vendors and stuff there. I cannot freaking wait. And, we needed a LAN party. When I got to Seattle, I was like, why is there not a big LAN party here? And I was like, screw it. Called up Jennifer, and I was like, Jennifer, make some phone calls. Let's get a LAN party going here. And she's like, how are we going to pay for that? I was like, I don't know. So, we're going to be selling tickets and that sort of thing, but we'll make it happen. I hope.
There's not a big party in Seattle because everybody goes to Portland.
Yeah, everybody goes to PDX, but I think people will go to PDX and come to this one. We'll make sure that we're not overlapping, because I'm going to go to PDX. Those guys are awesome. So I've got to find Umbra a dog sitter, though. Just variables. I don't know, minutia and little things. Anyway, Russia and Europe working together to go to the moon. How about that? That sounds interesting. Is Russia and Europe? I thought China was in on this too. I don't even know. So they're thinking about building a moon base.
Well, we need a moon base. We don't already have a moon base. We should be disappointed in ourselves as a species.
I mean, they're going to have to build it into the surface, which I think is clever, because that'll help shield from the radiation. Anything you do, the thing about the moon is you really have to think about the radiation, because they don't have the same sort of protections that we have here on Earth. So very
underground lava tubes is where it's at.
Yeah, man. You mean underground tubes that the aliens built because they're hive-minded and they built ant colony type things? We're gonna go take those over, right? Just like in Ender's Game or whatever. Or what was the second Speaker of the Dead? Is that where they did that? I don't even know. It's Ender's Game. Anyway, whatever. This is cool. So a company out here in Redmond, they've raised $12 million to start working on some projects to figure out how to look for rare minerals and go mine asteroids. $12 million is not enough to do much, but hey, that's enough to get the ball rolling a little bit. I brought this up because these guys are really close here over here in Redmond. I've got Jennifer messaging them because I want to go over and talk to them, and see what you guys think about that. What questions, if we actually go over there, what questions do you want me to ask them? I'll try to ask some of your questions, some of Wendell's questions, some of my questions, and hopefully get a tour of their place and find out what exactly they're going to be doing with this money. Are they going to use it to lobby the government to create the space industrial complex, like Wendell's been saying for months? Maybe
we need that.
Maybe they watch. I don't know. Kind of cool. I don't know anything to add on to that. I guess it's pretty much it, right? Quick mention. Good. All right. Next up. Oh, this is something from earlier. Apple was telling the judges. I was looking for that article. It got lost in there. The Apple was telling judges that it was impossible to lock the iPhones. Closing that one. Oh, yeah. I'll let you mention this one really quick. It's a physics article. And apparently there were a few issues with the whole spooky action at a distance thing. But now they've been doing some studies, and they've decided that it's been proven, almost. Proven 100%. 99% of it is proven 100%, right? Is that about how it works, Wendell?
So this is a fun experiment. Basically, the Heisenberg uncertainty principle is that you by observing the system you change it, and they've basically gotten a cloud of gas here that they've super cooled to the point that things are not really moving super fast inside the cloud of gas. In fact, they're hardly moving at all, and so where stuff is the part that's variable. And so there's sort of a postulation that, well, if we measure a system enough maybe it would actually freeze it because we're trying to measure it and it's really cold, and so there's not a lot of motion. And so maybe we can freeze the state of the system that it's in, not knowing the positions of things, but just put the system into a kind of state of stasis. And then so that turns out to be a useful experimental apparatus for doing some experiments to determine, because it seems like the situation is that when you're doing the experiment with the uncertainty principle, that because you're using electrons and photons to examine things that are on the scale of electrons and photons, it makes logical sense to your brain that, oh well, yeah, that makes sense. It's like I'm spraying basketballs into a room filled with basketballs in order to observe the state of the basketballs in the room. Of course I'm going to affect the state of the room, and the fine china or whatever was in the room is probably also broken because you've got your basketball cannon that you're using to examine stuff in the room. This is a very terrible analogy, and the physicists in the audience are just like, oh god, what is
Hey, but I really want a basketball cannon. Like that's like I mean, as soon as we get done here, I'm going to be Googling where can I buy a basketball cannon. I want to take it down to the park and just I don't know what I would do with it at the park.
Well, it is really horrifying to think on the scale where electrons and photons are basically basketball-sized entities. That's really crazy. So it turns out that what this experiment basically proves that things are really, really not defined at all, as in they probably don't exist, or there's probably interesting quantum interactions in that things can actually flow forward and backward in time, and their exact position is not really super well defined. It's like there are atoms for this cloud of gas. They used like a billion atoms for this cloud of gas, but the actual position of those atoms is not actually defined, is really actually in reality not actually defined provably experimentally, and because the motion of them is frozen, and so like exactly where they are we really don't know. And not only can we not know it, it turns out that they're not actually there. I mean, they're there somewhere, but they're not actually really there. So it's really mind-blowing, and I always love these kinds of experiments because it basically means that you can't explain what is happening on this scale like in terms of something else that you understand, because the things that are happening at this scale are completely unlike anything that anybody really understands. And so to try to explain what's happening on this scale in terms of something else only does you an educational disservice, because it really is completely unlike anything that we know.
And you end up talking about basketball cannons, and that's just
it's just like, oh, I'm gonna explain it in terms of rubber bands, which is an electrical force, and then I've done a horrible disservice explaining something to you which was an electrical force to begin with. Oh, I've failed.
Yeah. Oh well. You know what? If we push some of you guys to go further into this, dig a little deeper, and maybe in 3 or 4 years one of you guys becomes a physicist, I'll feel good about that. Maybe it wasn't us. Maybe it was a combination of other things. But whatever. All right. Let's talk about some video games. Right fast, shall we? First off, we've got the Doom multiplayer closed alpha that was it's just the people who were. Oh no, the video is gone. An error occurred. I'm gonna reload this. So, I want to know if any of you guys are in this. I didn't pre-order Wolfenstein. Only the people who pre-ordered Wolfenstein are in this. They said they only have one level and a few, one gameplay mode or whatever. They're just trying to mainly test out their servers and stuff, and sounds like they're keeping a lot of their gameplay modes a secret as well. I think they're doing a number of different things, but generating some buzz. What do you guys think? When I played this at QuakeCon, it felt very slow, like extremely slow for Quake. And we only played one gameplay mode where you keep fighting, and after a while your team, if you're doing well, you summon a demon or something, and then they fight for you. So I don't know if anybody's playing. I'm curious. What do you guys think? I think I might. Dude, this version of Doom is not exactly what I was looking for. I was hoping it would be. I mean, this is more like Doom 3. I was looking for something more like Doom 1 and 2 that's just really, really fast and ridiculous. But no, it's not. I don't think it could be good. I don't know. Be curious to see how it ends up. What I am really looking forward to, though, is the new Descent Underground. And this one is available as an early access game right now. So have you seen this? Descent Underground? Looks pretty crazy.
It looks really interesting.
I won't play either. Well, whatever.
The question is will it make me violently motion sick?
Did the original do
Descent?
that? Yeah.
It really did.
6 degrees of vomit, I believe, was the catchphrase. Yeah. Why are we talking to that guy? There we go. Let's show this thing. I don't know. I love Descent. It was a freaking ridiculous amount of fun. And if anybody's out there has ever played Forsaken, that was also really good. We should like load that up and see how is there like a new version or texture pack or something? People's eyes have changed. They can't look at these old textures and blurry walls and stuff anymore. They can they can't do it. Anyway. Pardon me, everybody. It was awful. I think that's pretty much everything for today. And I'm going to go and fix this dinner. That's what I'm going to do right now. I don't know. I don't know. All I can really think about right now is this hurricane, because I've been through a few hurricanes, and hope everyone's okay in Mexico. That's pretty much all I'm going to say. So, thoughts are going toward Mexico today. Well, I guess we'll at this point have already known what the aftermath is like, but oh god, the aftermath. Anyway, we'll see you guys in the comments. Plenty of stuff to talk about in this episode. And yeah, thanks a lot to all the Patreon supporters. You guys are making things, helping us keep things awesome. So thanks very much.
Thank you guys.